What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is BC. Welcome back to another episode of Supreme Being. First and foremost, shout out to Team BC, my nationwide real estate team, traditional and investments. If you guys are interested, you need help in real estate, or you'd like to find out more and possibly join us, join teambc.com or message me. Shout out to Modern Success, my family, my coaching program. We're doing big things. We have our next live event March 12th here in Miami. I'm expecting about 150 members to show up. It's going to be badass. If you guys are interested in that or anything else that I have to offer, go to briancasella.com. All right, let's begin. All right, what I want to discuss today is something very important. This is, I believe, what separates me a lot in regards to teaching people, because I encourage this behavior. This is what has allowed me to assimilate information better, apply it at a higher level, and really start to make myself an independent thinker and process the world differently than most people. Okay. I don't know if I can just give it to you in one word or one sentence, but I'm going to explain it so you get it. But you have to pay very close attention to this, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Because this obviously impacts every area of your life. If I or anybody who you learn from and you consider a teacher at whatever degree, this is my mentor 100%, I buy all his shit, or I just listen to this person randomly, right? That and anywhere in between. Okay. If I or those individuals give you a belief, a philosophy, a technique, so on and so forth, the worst thing you can do is just accept it and never verify it or test it yourself. In particular, this is a little different because the technique, right, you can use and it's a little different, but this is especially key with an idea, philosophy, a way of thinking, a way of being, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why? Because when you just accept it and never verify it or test it, you're no better than the sheep or the fool who just accepts whatever, advice they're given, right? Like we classically make fun of people who just listen to the news and they can't catch in their language, right, the deceit and all that stuff. And they just automatically assume because it's the news and the media that they're going to be honest. Now, in that particular example that I just gave you, the news is the authority figure. Okay. So with that said, you can substitute that with whatever. It can be your teacher, your parent, your friend, the news, the neighbor, right? A book. That same thing applies. You have to test and verify these things for yourself. Not only does it finally confirm it for you, but now you become a person of experience. You become a person who stands on their own decision-making process. You're developing your thinking, right? And you're somebody who's not easily manipulated, swayed one way, and you become what I said earlier, the independent thinker who verifies things, okay? Now, I know to a certain degree when we're doing new things and you're learning from a teacher, like a technique, and you do the technique and it's not working, an element of persistence and belief in it that it's going to work has to come through, right? So I know because some people will say that. They'll say, well, I learned technique XYZ and it didn't work. Well, it works because you verified for your own eyes, either that individual, me, the teacher, let's say for the example, I demonstrate it, right? Just in my way of living, or you've seen me actually employ the technique on a call, in person, presentation, right? If we're talking sales, okay? This is why simultaneously, I've also told people from a teaching standpoint, what's made me so different and effective is I demonstrate these things with my way of living. In particular, the ideas and beliefs and philosophies that I preach to people, I live them and there's no denying it. Like when I say be a man of your word as an example, right? How many things have I proclaimed over the last 9-10 years that I've been doing social media? And you've seen me bring all these things into fruition. I'm buying this, I'm going to become this, I'm doing that, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to meet this person, I'll be on stage with them. And I literally do it all. I'm not coming on here and just bullshitting. All of this stuff is verifiable. It's all there. I don't delete stuff. This is why also when I've been attacked over the years, a lot of those people disappear or they delete the hate on me because it's bullshit. People who are legit, people who follow this philosophy last. People who don't. That's how simple it is. So when I tell people, don't listen to me explain it, look how I demonstrate it. Like having standards as an example. It's very clear that I have standards in my life and in my business. What I tell you to do, I do. But this is a process that you have to take yourself through. Because growing up, right, if we're going to rewind for ourselves before we get into anything now. There was so much that was given to you as a kid from your family, your parents, whoever was an authority, whoever taught you certain things, right? Your values, your beliefs, your philosophies growing up were given to you by other people. We're not taught this as children. Hey, double check what you're taught. No, we just roll along with it. And based on our culture, our upbringing, our environment, we were all taught either the same or different things to varying degrees, right? But we never stopped and started there and said, okay, what are my beliefs about money or other cultures or men and women and relationships and all this other stuff and sales and careers and how to treat people and respect and morals and all these other things. We never did that homework. Now, I've done the homework, but I had to learn this shit the hard way. I was wondering why I was so negatively and inversely wired when it came to money and all these other things. And I started figuring it out. I never questioned those things. Why? Because they're so deeply embedded into your subconscious mind from your childhood that you never take the time to go. And what do we accept it as adults? We say, well, that's just the way it is. Everybody in my family is ABC, therefore I'm ABC. No, dude, it's bullshit. That's just what you were taught and what you believe to be. And what you believe to be reigns true. So you need to change that. You need to go in and change it. It's that simple. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to change it? Okay. This is an exercise that I did. I remember, and I would use this against the generally accepted advice that you would get from people, right? Like as an example, many of you are business people. You're told, oh, no one's going to take you serious. You're too young, right? And we just accept that shit as true. Now, my question to you is, if you go off what I told you at the very, very beginning of this podcast, verify it. I said, you know what? Everybody keeps regurgitating this bullshit. I'm going to verify it myself. I want to become a person of experience through verification and seeing it right in front of me. Which is why I also recommend you go meet the people that you study, get around them, get close to them, because then you can verify it, right? And it's worth every penny. I said, I'm going to verify this shit. So I started, one day I said, you know what, for the next day or two, I'm going to directly ask people, would they care about working with me or someone else if their age was a little bit younger, right? If they were more youthful, we can say, right? Long story short, I asked, I think it was 300 people or something like that. And about a handful of them told me like, yes, they wouldn't, or they would hesitate to work with that person because of their age. Something like that, right? Or it was 2 or 3. I can't remember, right? But just to be fair, let's say it was 5 or 6. That means out of 300 people, 2% said that would be an issue. 2%, meaning 98%, the overwhelming majority, would not give a shit. And I said, dude, I just proved this myself, right? And let's say there's another 10% variance there, even 15%, because people were being polite and nice to me. They didn't want, okay, then that would still leave you at 80+%. Still an overwhelming majority. Did not care. That means that generally accepted advice that people are giving, that's still given to this day, that people still believe and still reign to be true, is a bunch of bullshit. This is one example of one puppeted, generally accepted piece of advice among, there's probably thousands and thousands of cliche sayings like that you buy, that cripple your ability to not only be successful, but also just live a happy and fulfilled and calm and relaxed life. And it is ridiculous. It took me to come in and start challenging these things and being flamed by people. Hey man, stick to real estate. Why are you talking about that stuff, man? You're a realtor. What do you know? It's like, you know what, dude? Fuck you. How about that? How about you stop trying to dim my light of intelligence? What, because I chose the career path of real estate, I'm confined to that? Go fuck yourself, dude. That's that same fucking shit from the previous example that's polluting your way of thinking. That's the same reason that a lot of people that started in my industry of real estate would ask me, why the hell are you studying that? Or what does NLP and hypnosis have to do with real estate? Motherfucker, that's communication in the mind. That has everything to do with real estate. Are you that like dense? You don't understand it? Now, I used to get mad at them, but I don't anymore, because that tunnel vision is by design. It has been implemented and put into people's heads because they don't do this stuff. They don't verify what they're told. So at first, what you want to do is, instead of just readily accepting stuff, question yourself a little bit. and say, is this true? Is this fact? And is it verifiable? Ask yourself that as you start analyzing your beliefs and philosophies on life, your career, sales, communication, whatever it is. Start asking yourself that. Is this true? Can I verify it? Does this work? Is this reality? Or is this just what people say? Number two, in that filtering process, who is the individual giving you that advice or piece of information? And are they qualified to do so? You see how this ties in with some of the stuff we've discussed in the past, right? Because if Joe Schmo, who makes $5,000 a year, is trying to give you advice on purchasing a car or a boat or a house, what the fuck do they know? They don't know jack shit. I'd be a fool to take their advice, but here comes in the societal advice. Well, you have to be nice and treat everybody the same. I'm going to be respectful of people, of course, but that's where it stops. I don't have to take your advice. If you give me shit advice, why would I have to be respectful about it and actually listen to it? I'm not going to cuss you out, but I'm going to say, okay, thanks for sharing. And then it goes in one ear and out the other. It's that simple. You can do the same, dude, but you have to start verifying these things. Now, we took the step back to say, okay, let's go back to childhood. How about now? Many of you are being held back in your career and you hold yourself back because of this stuff. I already gave you the example of how I tested it through asking people while I was in the middle of selling at the end of our interactions. How many times have you done that? How many of you still to this day think because of your culture or maybe your English, right? English is a second language for me, but I would say I've pretty much mastered it in regards to my communication skills. How many of you are held back by that? Or you think because of your religion or your background or your race or your creed or whatever the fuck it is that, well, you can't accomplish something because of that. You're holding yourself back, dude. That's you, no one else. Because I can pull a million examples of people who refuse to believe what you believe and are successful in what it is that you're doing or something similar. Why? Because they refused to buy the bullshit. They challenged it for whatever reason. Maybe they weren't taking this intellectual approach like I am right now, but they challenged it. Why? Their life is a demonstration that they challenged it. They just went about it a different way than me. And maybe they wouldn't express it the way that I expressed it. Maybe it was out of being stubborn. Maybe they wanted to prove somebody wrong and they had a chip on their shoulder like I did. I don't know. Because that's kind of where it started for me. It wasn't this intellectual side. It was just that childhood stubbornness that I brought to the table. I said, nah, dude, I said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to figure it out. I said, I want to get to the promised land. I'm going to make it. I don't care what's in the way. An alligator infested moat, barbed wire. I don't care. Bullets raining down. I'm going to figure out a way to get to the promised land. Why? Because I want to get to the promised land and that's all I want to do. And I'm going to do it. That type of stubbornness. Now, that would serve many of you if you acted that way. But what do most people do? They don't challenge these things. A little 1 ounce effort, then they meet a little bit of resistance and they stop. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I want to stop again. I don't want to veer off too much. What do you need to verify in your life? How many of you won't wear a shirt like this or the skull cap? Right? Even though you would want to wear these crazy blue blockers like I have for those of you who are watching the video version, right? Or my skull cap, or the earrings, or the shirt. You see, I used to be held back by that too. Now, I'm not saying you wear it just to wear it. I want to wear this because I like it and I want to. I don't do it for attention. If I do anything for attention, it's strategic attention. It's not just to stroke my ego. But I want to do this stuff. Me, not anybody else. But I've questioned these things. Oh, well, you know, literally everything they've given to me in regards to this, you're too young or blah, 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 all that classic advice, I verified for myself. And I've literally been able to virtually bend or break most of these, in quotes, rules. And I've had success. Whether that be the online route, whether that be the traditional route of real estate and anything in between. I just continue breaking those boundaries, but I embody that as a philosophy. I'm going to challenge and verify these datums and ideas and beliefs and philosophies and techniques that are brought into my life. Always. Unless I am blazing a new trail or creating something myself. Okay, and that's different. And I have to do it myself, right? But most people that you meet in the world are not going to be visionaries like that. But what can you start doing now to create this change? How many of you, it's your self-image of how you think you speak? How many of you say introvert, extrovert, and all that crap? You haven't verified it. Are you? Because I guarantee you, if I went into your personal life around the people that you're comfortable with in your home, You're not an introvert. You have no problem initiating a conversation, making comments, laughing, being funny when you want to be. You only lack that in public because you're nervous and you're not practiced in that art form. See what would happen if you challenged it? You would get to the conclusion very quickly. But you need people like me around you. That's what you need, who will get you to think this way and question the norm. You see, the normal existence is not the normal existence. It's the accepted normal existence. And you've accepted it. I refuse to accept it, and I never will. And I'll keep breaking that box and making it bigger and finding the limits and pushing it more. Because the more I do this, the more I'm able to be more creative, do what I want, express myself how I want to express myself, push boundaries in business and my personal life and everything else. But I'm challenging these things all the time, all the time. Oh, well, you can't talk about, anything other than business when you run a business, because then you'll kill your reputation and your brand. Oh, really? Because last I checked, I'm probably one of the most hardcore censored people and all my numbers are going up. My real estate team, we haven't tallied up the final numbers, but I think it was near $100 million in real estate last year. And for the most of the year, we had 20 something members spread nationwide, most of which are new agents, 2 years or less in the business. That's a lot of sales in real estate. How about my numbers as a business overall with all my streams of income have gone up? February of 2022 is going to be my biggest income month ever. And my reach on social media has literally been reduced by over like 90-95%. How am I doing this? How am I bending and breaking all these rules? I get clowned for having tattoos and long hair and all this other stuff. Oh, he's finished and he's not getting views and likes. And how come every metric that you would measure by has exploded? And I'm not going anywhere. And I'm making other statements, bold statements as well. I've turned down and refused, although with utmost respect and much love to all the people who have invited me to come speak. And I've told them, hey, everything moving forward, everything that I've booked and agreed to do, I'll do now. But anything moving forward now, March moving forward, I refuse to travel anywhere where I have to wear a mask, which means I'm not going to be on a plane. I refuse to get a COVID test because I'm not participating, nor have I ever gotten it from the beginning. Right. And I will continue my speaking tour and guest appearances once all of that is lifted and they remove that out of the process of getting around the world. I'm willing to sacrifice opportunities and money for that. You see, but I'm willing to do that when everyone else would cave in and no one would take a stand like that. Very few people will. Why? Because they'll compromise themselves for dollar signs. That's not a part of my value system. I don't care. I don't care if I'm offered 50,000 or 100,000 for a speaking appearance. I will refuse to do it. Mark my words. And I'm a man of my word because I stand for the principle. Now, a lot of people, oh man, but it's bad for your business and this and that. No, that's that normal existence. Absolutely not. Just like that same person will tell you, well, you have to deal with a rude client because you're going to get the paycheck. Wrong. Let me test that theory. How about I let that client go and then give myself the priceless commodity of peace of mind and tranquility. And most importantly, having a standard for my life and my business. How about I challenge that idea and belief in philosophy? Mine is superior and it will win. And I'm confident in that. All right. So moving forward, you have a lot of work to do, my friends. If you go through a fine-tooth comb of the list of techniques and ideas, beliefs, and philosophies that you've lived your life by, and generally accepted ways and views of life that you have just accepted, and you will crumble your old self and build a new one. But this takes a lot of introspective work and self-analysis. And it sucks sometimes because you'll want to kick yourself in the ass. You're like, man, I wasted 5 years thinking this when it was just bullshit. And all it took me was 10 minutes to figure it out. That's okay. That's a part of the process, man. That is 100% a part of the process. Do this work. It's you with you every single day. Right? I remember I took initially months to do this. Every day I was just chipping away at it. And I still go back and do this from time to time to make sure no evil or corrupt technology has entered my mind or my existence. This keeps you clean. This keeps you efficient. This keeps you at your highest state as a human being and allows you to be consistent like I have for 10 years now running. Who else do you know who's been doing that? I don't know many, if any at all. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Appreciate you listening. Today's Monday, the 28th, last day of February. I'm doing the cold calling challenge. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to my family, Team BC. Reach out to me if you guys need anything real estate related, whether you want to join or you're a consumer. And lastly, if you would like to join my coaching, modern success, or anything else that I have to offer, go to briancasella.com. All right, that's it for this one, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.